not for 2 days, 3 days, but for 6 months. Now, under the law, there is a protection for even criminal prisoners from this kind of torture. A criminal prisoner, when found guilty of infringing prison rules, will be sentenced to solitary confinement for not more than 2 weeks because of the obvious mental ill health effects. But for political detainees, there is no protection. Lee Yu-sing, the Director General, the General Manager of Nanyang Sampao, was put into solitary confinement not once but twice. And to his credit, he withstood that kind of real torture. T.T. Raja, a lawyer, was detained for 2.5 years, was put under solitary confinement for 6 months, twice. Said Jahari was put under solitary confinement 4 times in his long 17 years of detention. It is to our credit that we did not break down in spite of this real torture. We stood our ground and held on to our integrity. Today, we are asking us to be magnanimous. What does magnanimity do? Only those who have suffered has the moral right, moral standing to be magnanimous, not the culprit. The culprit can seek forgiveness if they admit their mistakes and apologize for it. Not for the victims of this torture to seek forgiveness. We are the one who has to be magnanimous, and we are prepared to be magnanimous provided the culprits admit their mistakes and seek our forgiveness. In my statement that I released to the press in 1972 through my wife, Dr. Christian, and which was of course suppressed by the newspapers, but was distributed a lot to all student organizations. I think the proper way to settle our case is that you must release us without conditions, unconditional release, and moreover, you must compensate us for a long detention and also apologize. I say I'm prepared to forego these 2 last conditions of having to compensate us and also having to apologize to us. Because I don't believe an arrogant man like this one will concede that to. The question of release unconditionally, that we stand firm. I stood firm and have to suffer for 2 decades. That is the price we have to pay for our integrity. In Singapore, we have a situation where the government leaders said they have integrity that has to be sustained by the highest pay in the world. Now that they demand from political opponents and detainees an integrity that has to sustain the longest imprisonment in the world. This kind of 2 types of integrity, to compare them is to compare heaven and earth. Why should anybody has to sacrifice so much just to sustain his integrity and his beliefs? And the government can have to reward themselves with so much high pay. This is the immorality of the political situation in Singapore today. Now, detention without trial is not a peaceful action. It's an act of violence. We come to see you not in the day-night with the invitation card. We come in the morning, 4 a.m. is the usual time. That's the time when decent people sleep and the political terrorists and tyrants strike. And when you're detained, you're subjected to all kinds of mental and even physical torture. This is not only unique for the 1963 batch, it was also practiced in many other batches of detention, 1972, and as late as 1987. So Teo Solan and her group of so-called Marxist detainees were subjected to physical and mental and physical torture. Ms. Teo Solan is here. I hope she will come up and indicate to her how her back have been tortured. Physically, they are women lawyers, and the women lawyers can be subjected to torture. Now when these women lawyers came out and issue a statement to describe how they have been tortured, they were again retained and compelled to withdraw their accusations. Now what type of rule of law is there when the accuser can be punished by the accused, that's the government, and compelled to withdraw the accusation? It's a rule of law, justice turned upside down. Now this is a situation that even the law society dare not utter a word of protest. It is so important after what they have done to the law society in 1980.